And I just want to learn from you. How do you manage to pull all these themes and just still have this story underneath and our investment in the story and what happens to the people? Is there a trick? Because I'm going to write it down because I'm writing book 2, so I want to learn something today.
Oh, I wish. I mean, the first thing I think is that it's always very important to me to stay true to the characters. And I think that's where I feel like I succeeded with this book in a way that, or that this book was able to carry things that Stay With Me could not carry, for instance. So with initial drafts of Stay With Me, there was a lot of politics. At some point, Akin goes off and joins a party. And then I read it again and I'm like, this is not what this guy would do. This is just what I want him to do. You know, and so for me, it's that I write and then I have to come back and be honest with myself. Like, are these characters really interested in these things? And if they're not, I need to be able to say, well, if this book is a love story, then it's a love story, and I need to stay with that. Um, and anything I'm going to bring in needs to be what the characters are seeing, what they would be interested in, because it impacts on their lives. You know, what they would hear on the radio, maybe, but not forcing them into to making the points that sometimes I want to make. You know, and with this book, it was the same thing. It was, what do these people care about, and what would they notice about their environment, and you know, how does that fit into their daily lives? You know, so for instance, one of the things that this book explores is that at some points in my home state, teachers were just sacked. You know, overnight, a generation of teachers lost their jobs, and it was something that I always was bothered by because I think it devastated the public school system. Um, but I couldn't just like write that without it being the story of the characters. So by the time I figured out that Eniola's father was one of those teachers, for instance, then it's part of their story. It's part of why this family is like this. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, why are you telling me this? You
Yeah.
know. So for me, I think that the trick, if it's a trick, is to really drill down into the characters and think, okay, what are they interested in? What is affecting their own lives? You know, and then go from there. And once I find that once I go from there, it feels more organic. And then the other thing is at the editing stage to cut out a lot of things, really.
That's where I am now. And I am in the editing trenches. Oh, it's so hard. I do, what you're saying resonates so well with me because one of the things I find is I start off with this great idea and this great plot and these great characters, and it's all pouring out of me until I get to the end and realize I've only just started to know who my characters are. So actually, all the things they were doing in chapter 1, 2, 3, 5, 20, they wouldn't be doing. That's not what they. So you go back to the beginning, and it feels, you look at those 90,000 words that have taken you weeks and months to write, and you realize, well, that it's learning. If you didn't go through that process, you wouldn't be able to get into their heads. So I've written quite a few things down, but I'm quite upset you haven't given me a shortcut.
I'm still looking for it myself.
One thing I wanted to ask is, do you have a favorite character? As I've said, I loved and resented Warola because I'm not remotely golden and I wanted to be. But I wondered if which of these, and I loved her mother. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I had a soft spot for everyone, but her mother was amazing. She was amazing. Eniola, my heart bled for him. But do you have a favorite book child? Because I think we're allowed to love book child, have a favorite book child, maybe not a real life one.
I mean, I think if I were to pick, I think it would be both mothers, really. Um, I think it would be both mothers. Whereas mother, I think, and even Eniola's mother, I think they're such strong characters and such interesting people to me. Um, and I think perhaps also because I'm very interested in Nigerian women of that generation. I'm very curious about their inner lives. So I guess when I write them, I have a passion. I'm partial to them in a certain way. So it would be Yeye and Eniola's mother. They just, yeah.